Hi crafty friends, this is card number 16 in Full Deck Challenge 3. I have my postage stamps which are my constant for this challenge. My carryover item from last week is that knitting with the white splashes. I'm a little obsessed at the moment and I want to use it again. It's available from Taperlogy and the link is in the description box below. And then when I was collecting pieces for this week's card, I was really inspired by turquoise and pink. So I've pulled out these few elements. I've got my matching postage stamps. Let's see what today's card will bring. Pink and turquoise are quite bright colors. And to tone that down just a little bit, I've brought in some book page that I'm going to use as part of my mini collage, just to create a contrast. Using Mod Podge to glue everything down. And applying a layer of Mod Podge over the collage pieces. As you can see, I only really have a couple of pieces of colored paper for my mini collage. You don't need a million. Sometimes I do have quite a few because I'll bring everything out. But these ones I found quite inspiring and they do have multicolors on each piece, which look really good when used all together. So I'm going to work with these few pieces and stack them to create a colorful background. If anyone is interested, I will just mention that these colored pieces that I am using are from bigger sheets that are designed by Art by Marlene. They came in the back of a die cut book that I bought quite a few years back. It was called Essentials by Marlene. And it's never too late to join in the Full Deck Challenge. This is Challenge 3. I do have another 2 challenges. I'll put the link to those playlists in the description box below. But you can join at any time, on any deck and with any card. And if you're on Facebook, you can join my group there. Just search Full Deck Challenge Group. Just trying to see where I might put the postage stamp. As most times I don't really have a plan for this card. I'm working quite intuitively and I'll take you along for the process. Adding another book page on the bottom left to balance that out and leaving the 3 of diamonds showing on the top left, which was a challenge that I put for myself for this deck to show the card number and suit. In previous years I have covered everything up, but doing it differently this time. I've dried that all well and trimmed off the excess. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but while I brought the dryer out to dry this, I blew the little turquoise stamp somewhere and I spent the next half an hour trying to find it. I looked on the floor, I looked everywhere, and then finally found it. It had stuck up against my little tray that I have just outside of the view of the video where I have all my pens and paintbrushes. It was quite frustrating, but I'm really glad I found it. I did try the other stamp that I had that's got a light pink and a turquoise, but it really wasn't suiting the card the way I had imagined. I really wanted the other one. It was the perfect color and I really wanted to use it. So I thought I'll just continue on with the card and see how we go. I've added some white gesso just to soften some of the edges and to give a more cohesive background. I even went and found some more turquoise colored stamps, but they just weren't quite right. Have you ever had something go missing on your craft desk when you had it there just 2 seconds ago? It is so frustrating. As you would have seen, I finally did find it. There it is. Now I'm going to have to make it into part of the focal point after that big search for it. Using the netting with the splashes underneath my focal point, I'm going to fold it over on the right and I'm going to leave it sticking out a bit, sort of like a tab. I need the pink circle to stand out a little bit more, so I'm going to edge it with black using my watercolor pencil. I'm going to continue that edging around the entire card. I think this creates really good contrast and I feel it finishes this card off. The prompt for next week's card is blending. I'm using some clear craft glue to adhere my focal point down onto my card. I'm not applying any glue to the netting, I'm applying it to the circle and the stamp. The glue used behind these elements will stick down everything in the background. And I've also made the circle slightly overhang at the bottom. I love using numbers in my work. This number 22 is from a price tag. I've just torn off the $sign and going to use it as part of the focal point to add some interest. You'll notice I haven't folded over the netting to the back. That will attach to the card once I do the sewing. Now I'm going to do my sewing using an embroidery needle and embroidery thread in a bright pink. I'm going to do my stitching as part of my focal point. I'm going to add some stitched crosses just to the right and the bottom of the circle that I've created. I think it adds beautiful texture and interest. Now the plain card is quite thick, but if you have a sharp needle that's quite thick, like an embroidery needle, it goes through pretty easily. You can pre-punch the holes if you prefer with an awl. If you want them perfectly aligned, I don't mind if mine are a little bit misaligned, so I'm just doing it as I go. Of course, sewing, which was the prompt for this week, can be any kind of sewing. You could have chosen to do machine stitching, which I always love doing. I love stitching on paper. I decided to go with hand stitching this time for a different look. I thought it would be more bold, more noticeable, and like I said earlier, I made it part of my focal point. I'm going to take a quick moment of your time to let you know about the membership that I have added to my YouTube channel. First and foremost, and very importantly, the current content that you watch on my channel will not change. You do not need a membership to watch the Full Deck Challenge, my Big Fat Pink Journal, and my alternate Saturday videos. The access to that content will remain the same. The membership to my channel, which costs you less than a cup of coffee per month and you can cancel at any time, allows you access to additional or bonus content. The bonus content includes one additional video per month, additional shorts and behind the scenes, alternate month freebies, and early access to some videos. Thank you in advance for your support. I finished sewing my crosses. I'm just going to end off the stitching and trim that off. Now the back is a little messy. I personally don't mind. All the backs of mine are quite messy, but I don't look at that. I just look at the front. But if you don't like that, you could always stick a piece of paper or even decorate the back. I'm going to add a little bit of black splatter in the top right hand corner. This is to balance out that black of the 22 at the bottom. Otherwise everything feels too bottom heavy. Let me show you a close-up of my card. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really hope you enjoyed it and were inspired to create your own and maybe even join my Full Deck Challenge if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching, happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!